Well, Zohran Mamdani's picked to lead the New York City Fire Department, addressing concerns that she has never served as a firefighter.
I could see how that might be a concern, being fire is the primary word, and there's concern regarding this. I will say I've spent 30 years working in this fire department. I know the job. I know what the firefighters need.
Elon Musk posting on X, quoting, "People will die because of this. Proven experience matters when lives are at stake." Mamdani firing back, "Experience does matter, which is why I appointed the person who spent more than 30 years at EMS, the workforce that addresses at least 70% of all calls coming into FDNY." Let's bring in Democrat New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Mr. Mayor, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I want to get your take on this. I know in the past that you have also appointed people who were not firefighters to run the firefighters. What do you think of the appointment of Lillian Bonsignor?
Well, I think that when you looked at who I appointed, both Commissioner Tucker, what he has accomplished, it's going to be judged, and it's up to the incoming mayor to build his team. And it's important, even in the police department, you saw today, we're at the lowest number of homicides and shooting victims in the recorded history of the city. So he has to build his team, and he has to live by the team that he decides to choose.
So what would you say? Is that a yes or no? Do you support this pick by Zohran Mamdani to run FDNY?
I don't think that's up to me. I think that's up to the people of the city. They elected him to be the mayor, and if he made that decision, that's a decision he's going to have to live by.
I think it's interesting, Mr. Mayor, you kind of move on to this because you had this post, right? And I want to put this up on the thing. You're talking about the Justice Department, and you posted that her Justice Department wanted to lock me up for more than 30 years for taking an upgraded airline seat 10 years ago. It's funny because you say that you will have more to talk about the weaponization of the Biden DOJ. What's your message when you do speak on this? What's your goal? What's your message? What's your intent to get the word out?
I think what we have witnessed under the President Biden's Justice Department, Americans should never have to live through that again. And when you saw everyday Americans who fought for education of their children to be put on watch lists, I think that what you saw what happened with Charlie Kirk, when you saw the raiding of President Trump's home, debate should have happened, or the attempt to meet me at the end of the marathon, to humiliate me, to grab my phones when you could have merely called. Yeah. I think that you're seeing the clear indication of that. The Justice Department under the previous administration used lawfare to go after those who disagree with them publicly.
Did you feel as emboldened and as angry about this weaponization of the DOJ under Biden before they went after you?
Well, I think personal experience allow us to see firsthand of abuse. I spent my entire life, not only as a police officer, but state senator and borough president, fighting against injustices. There's a real history, a rich history of me standing up and fighting that the criminal justice system should never be used to abuse innocent people. So yes, that anger was there long before I was a target. But what I saw happen while I was the mayor is really deplorable, and we saw what happened under what happened to President Trump's family as well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole thing. Is you look at the information that is coming now about the Mar-a-Lago raid and the FBI back in those confidential documents. Do you think that you should have spoken out more? That people should have spoken out more at the time?
Well, as I just indicated, if you were to go back and look at my life story on criminal justice reform and not abuse. It goes back from being a young man who was abused at the hands of law enforcement. And so I've always been a clear voice, and it really personalized it of what I was fighting for years because I experienced the lawfare myself.
I know you spoke out on the attack on Bondi Beach, Mr. Mayor, and I know you're very concerned about this. And I say this because Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is now meeting with President Trump right now. We are going to have, we hope, some live questions coming out of that. But you have also stated that you're very concerned about New York Jewish citizens, because you said you would be very concerned about your children if you were a Jew living in New York. Explain that for us.
Well, I think look at what happened the day after the general election. You saw swastikas that were drawn on Martin David School. You looked at on the subway system where you saw a Jewish New Yorker being assaulted. I think we've become too comfortable with anti-Semitism here in the city, across the country. We're seeing a radicalization of our children on college campuses. We are seeing a real target on Jewish New Yorkers. And I don't believe any New Yorkers in general, but specifically our Jewish brothers and sisters should undergo that. That's part of what I want to do when I leave office. I want to use technology, as I always have, to improve the lives of New Yorkers, but I want to use the blockchain technology to go after anti-Semitism and hate and educate our children.
Are you concerned that things will get worse under Zohran Mamdani, sir?
If we don't take a corrective action, the Democratic Socialists of America has clearly showed their level of anti-Semitism. They clouded in stating that is anti-Israel, but in fact is not. It is a clear hate for the Israelis and for Jewish people that we have witnessed. And so, yes, I am truly concerned, and I mentioned that, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat my concern. We cannot allow this city to turn into a city where anti-Semitism is normalized.
What's the big headline for the next chapter in Mayor Eric Adams' life?
You know, we're going to start with just fun, exhaling. 40 years of doing this. It's time to spend time with my son. And I really, I am encouraged about using technology to improve the lives of working class people in the city. Everything from AI, and as I stated, from blockchain to cryptocurrency, educating our young people and our future generation on how we can live together. And I want to focus on really to stop the radicalization of our young people in this city. They have to stop the hate of America and start to understand that this is the greatest country on the globe.
Mayor, thank you for your service. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.